Today, I'm joined by singer, songwriter, and producer TV Room, who has just dropped The Big Big Deal, a project that you can and should go listen to right now. So before we really get into the heavy details of anything, we can build things up with an introduction. Tell the people it is, in your own words. What is it that you do?
I make music, and I started to make videos a couple years ago. So those are the two things I really do, unless I miss something.
Did one of those things kind of come before the other, or are these interests very intertwined?
I've been doing music since like late 2016, and I think I forget when the first video was. That was Adolescence in 2020 or 2021. So I've been doing music a lot longer, and I think I'm better at music than video, but I like video more now. I think video is fun.
Oh, you see, you think it's kind of overtaken the musical interest in that way?
I think a lot of I feel like I like doing music if I'm like more motivated to do a song if I'm gonna do a video for it. Like
okay.
The video is like the reward for doing the music now.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of a multi-step process. These things are very connected, as of now, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I like both, but the videos are kind of like, I like being kind of worse at it and learning.
Yeah, it's nice to be new at something. So kind of like starting off, we can travel back in time with a bit, songs like Run Too Fast and So, almost a decade ago now. Yeah, right. But for almost a decade now, you've been pretty focused in on your sound. You have a very unique and sort of playful electronic pop sound. What are your early musical endeavors? What is getting you into music, and, at what point are you settling on, a sound where you go, yeah, this is what I want to do?
I think a lot of the early stuff was just like finding out I could do something and then just doing that. So like Run Too Fast was like putting the filter on the synth, like the low pass filter, the envelope or whatever it is. I think I just learned to do that. So I was like, that'll be what the song sounds like. I forget. And I think the song before that, yeah, there's usually something in each song that I just learned how to do on the early stuff.
Yeah, each song is kind of like a benchmark of like something new learned.
Yeah, like definitely I think the LFOs and the envelopes on weren't too fast.
And I also know that you have, you brought up Adatash. The Great State of Maine project was a bit of a multimedia experience. You have the video work going on, you have the songs that you create for it, and I think that does kind of stand as a testament, to you bridging the gaps between your creative endeavors. What importance do you find in, I guess going back to the video and music dichotomy, what importance do you find in not limiting yourself to the mediums in which you express your creativity?
I think it just makes it more exciting. Like if I can do something. Around Adatash, I was working on a few songs before I started Adatash, and I was getting really, I was like pretty bored with music. I was like, I wasn't like gonna quit, but I just was doing it less and less. And so when I had the idea for the videos, it made music more exciting again. Also with the songs on Adatash, or I guess the EP was Great State of Maine. I started to think of a video, and then that would affect what I put in the song. So like they would kind of inform each other. Like I was like on Little Birdwatcher, I think I was kind of iffy on having I don't know, you call it the refrain, just be instrumental. There's just like verse and then there's instrumental.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, I can only do this instrumental refrain if I can think of like what I'm going to do with like my hands during the video, because I'm not going to be singing. So I'm like, then when I thought of like, I can like point at the birds or do stuff like that, I'm like, now I can do this in the song. So they kind of informed each other.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, maybe the constraint of that helped make both.
Yeah, it kind of like brings out new ideas for each one in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, speaking of Maine, I did some deep digging on some opinions of yours, and once upon a time, you did say that Maine was probably a top 3 state to live in.
Where did I say that? This is like Nardwar, where you bring out
hey, I got my sources. I don't disclose. It was a YouTube comment section.
Am I the source? Okay.
Yeah, you're the source. On the topic of that, what would you say are your other 2 top 3 places to live? And what do you say, because I know that you lived in Maine, you were based in Maine, and you're based in Brooklyn now, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say are the benefits of living in the places you have lived, and what can you get in some places that you can't get in the other?
The benefit of living in Maine was that I had nothing to do. So I was so productive. When I was in Portland, I was working on Adatash, or the Adatash videos. I was like, I had like no distractions. I was just in a studio apartment, and I was just, I don't know. I mean, that's probably not like unique to Maine. I was just pretty isolated. So I had a lot of free time. I like destroyed the apartment for manifest video. So I don't know. I don't know what the benefit of being in Maine is. I guess you can like, if you have a car, you can like drive to a hiking trail. But I didn't have a car, so I don't know why I said it was a top three state. It probably is a top three state, but I didn't have a very top three time. Um, it was probably my bottom one state to live in. I was so
Oh
bored.
no. Okay. I guess when you've only lived in three places, everywhere's a top three.
Yeah, and I think I have because I live in New York now. I went to school in Boston. I grew up in Nevada, or like up till third grade. So I would say New York, top one state. The benefit is there's like people here that you can hang out with. There's restaurants open past 8 p.m. So that makes
Everything
it to
you really
top one.
need, honestly.
People, food. Yeah, that's pretty much all I do is
Hell
hang out
yeah.
and eat.
And kind of getting into the production of your music. Because your production, I feel like, it's very, it can be whimsical, it can be very bright, but honestly, things get pretty complicated in there. I feel like there's a lot of moving parts in the production that you're making. So what does the TV room assembly line look like in terms of creating a song? Where are you starting and where are you finishing it?
It always starts with chords. So it starts out with a chord progression. I'm like, my process for that is very trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
So usually how I start a chord progression is like I'll just go back to an old project file, where I just, one of my errors is like, because I'll like be writing chords for one song, I'll like stumble upon something cool, and I'll just mute it and leave it in the project file. So when I want to start something new, I just go back to one of the old things and just like unmute everything and listen to what I did and start from there. And then after chords, melody, top line, the melody and the lyrics sort of go together. They like, inform each other.
Yeah.
Certain, words work with certain notes or certain, meters. Sorry, I have allergies.
Oh, you're good. Trust me, me too. I had to take a allergy pill before we did this interview just to make sure that I was in tip-top shape.
I was looking around for an allergy pill. I'm out. So yeah, I'm like thinking about like the melody and the lyrics at the same time, how those interact with the chords.
Yeah.
And then, everything is kind of, you make a change to one thing, and then it makes you want to make a change to another. This is like such a vague answer, but
I mean,
you
making
all the
sense to me.
You change this, and then you change that, and then you've changed so many things that you've made a song at the end. But that's like the order. It's like chords, melody, and then all the little sound effecty
All
things.
the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, yeah, the easy stuff.
Yeah, and so before we get into the big deal, which is a project that by this point I've quite honestly spent a lot of time with, we got one more question. And so by your own admission, you aren't exactly always a goal person. Last year that you said you weren't really sure if you ever quote achieved a quote goal before. But despite that fact, what are some short and long-term goals that you hope to accomplish, through TV Room or, maybe through other endeavors in your life?
That's good context because I used to like never set goals, but I do have some goals. Like this year, I really want to do a live show. I really want to, I don't know, make that happen.
Yeah.
Either, join someone else's or book my own thing with some friends. I want to do that before it's like cold. So like this fall or this summer. And that's pretty much my only goal this year. I'm kind of like, not like unmotivated, but I don't really want to just like, I'm in this cycle of like, I make a song and then I post it online and it's like cool, but like it's just all happening on the screen. So I want to do something in real life. Also, I live in New York and not Maine now. And so one of the things is the people here. So I've got to do something where where there's people instead of, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
just
and
screen only
a
in my
place like
studio apartment.
yeah, a place like Brooklyn definitely also kind of would maybe be, that kind of I guess concept would be much more accessible in a place like New York. I don't know much about Maine, but I don't know if the live scene is quite as buzzing as it is in
I don't
Brooklyn, New
know.
York.
I barely even left my apartment. I don't know if there were people there. But yeah, here there's definitely people. Like if you walk outside, you see a lot of people. So I think some of them might be willing to come to a show. I don't really,
Yeah,
or maybe none of them will. But I'm gonna do it anyway.
it's an experience either way, for sure.
Yeah, I just want to feel something. Like even if it's just a total flop, you know, it'll happen and I'll feel something.
Yeah, exactly. Something will come of it. You'll do it, and then you will feel a way about it.
I will feel a way about whatever happens on stage.
And then moving on, we have the big deal, which is not a lengthy project, but it is exciting. And going into it, from what I've picked up on at least, it sort of balances the perspectives on life through one, this retroactive lens of being an adult, and then also the lens of like more childlike wonder. Going into this project, which I know that you've been sort of steadily releasing through singles, since 2022. Going into this project, what are you hoping to accomplish? Maybe thematically, artistically, from whatever angle.
What was I doing for the last 2 years? I really wanted to do something like emotional, or like I wasn't trying to do something vulnerable, but like I wanted to be a little more personal than usual.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something like emotional and like sincere and personal in a way that I hadn't before. Because I think with the main EP, I felt emotional about it, but like the lyrics were very like, I don't know, allegorical, or like I don't know if anyone listening to it like got
Yeah.
what I got out of making it. So for this one, I wanted to just kind of, I'm writing from the first person, or maybe I did that in Maine too, but I'm writing about me for the first
Yeah.
time, I think.
Yeah, and when you're going into the project, we have Funtown USA, which is kind of this sort of acceptance of death before riding a roller coaster, this feeling of dread and being like, oh, I've messed up, I shouldn't have done this, and kind of that in comparison to a very present day confrontation of death. There were some arguments in the YouTube comments. They're not arguments, but there were some split opinions on this song. Some people thought the song was incredibly hopeful, and some people were like, oh, this is such a sad song. A very split room. So straight from you, TV Room, creator of the song, this contemplation of death and this understanding and acceptance of it. Do you feel this profound process as depressing, or is the song hopeful?
I think that I was really nervous about the song. I think the song is really depressing. I think it's a sad song. It's like someone who's gonna die. There's no hope in that song, but like, I mean, that's why it's at the beginning, and then Pet Rock is at the end.
Yeah.
But I was really nervous to put it out as a single because I was like, oh my God, people are gonna like ask me if I'm okay, and which is cool. Like, thank you, but no, I think it's a sad song. Yeah, to answer the debate, is it sad or happy? It's sad. It's sad, but it goes in the beginning, and then at the end of the EP, there's a kind of it circles back with the line like, I'd end it all if it wasn't true. It kind of sucks as a single because it's like you just listen to it and it's just like that was so.
You're like, oh man, that was upsetting.
Depressing. Yeah, I hope he's okay, and then I don't release another song for like 6 months.
Like, oh man,
is he dead? What happened?
And I do kind of hate to sound like a Watch Mojo video titled something like, oh, top 10 happy songs that are actually sad. But
yeah.
I can recognize that the tone of the production can sometimes be a little bit deceptive, to maybe the theme sometimes. So how do you think that like the qualities of your production reflect the more emotional parts of it? How the song sounds reflects the emotion and the writing behind the behind the songs on the project.
Well, I think for that song, the idea was like riding a roller coaster is like exciting, and it's actually exciting because when you're a kid, you like feel like there's like a potential to get hurt or die on the roller coaster. Like that's the thrill of the thrill ride. So it was supposed to kind of sound like happy and exciting, like a roller coaster, I guess.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't blame anyone for thinking it's a happy song because I think most people are like kind of, just kind of half listening to the lyrics, which I don't blame them. Like that's how I listen to music too. I'll like listen to a song like 5 times before I start to pick up on
Yeah.
even like what the words are.
Yeah. And then, moving forward, we have So Beautiful, which, seems to be about this idea of, beauty being both taken in and projected outwards. A topic that you say you find yourself fixated on often. I guess in the context of that song, it's just like, how are you defining this beauty? What are you finding beauty in, and, whether in the music you make, your life around you, nature, people, where are you finding this beauty in your life that's inspiring a song like this?
I guess like I used to watch like when I think of like the line like how a potter cups his hands. I used to watch like in high school I'd watch like ASMR videos.
Yeah.
And I really like the ones where like someone is like doing something with their hands. Like there's this woman who she used to like solve math equations and she would just like hum while she solved math equations and she had like this like an old fashioned pen she had to dip in the ink. So I liked watching stuff like that. Caterpillar bending, I think that speaks for itself. Like I just think they're so cute when they bend. So I think the beginning of the song I was just like trying to think of a couple of things that I personally found
Yeah.
nice to look at. Yeah, I'm kind of using it as just sort of like an introduction to then being like, well, these things are beautiful, and then, but I want to be as beautiful as, a caterpillar, I guess.
Yeah. And also this song and a couple others also sort of introduce this question because I know that you've posted a couple project files online just of you working on various tracks. But this song, others on the project have a pretty seamless blend of sounds. Is this all digital, using any live instruments at all, or is this all computer generated?
I think everything on the EP is digital, and like the flute is just like the Mellotron flute. I use a lot of sound fonts, like just like SNES and 64 sound fonts. The only thing that's analog is the recorders on Head and Heart. That's
Okay.
like I bought like one of those like $5 Yamaha
Nice.
recorders I had in third grade. I was trying to invoke like, cause like we would have these like crappy recorder concerts. Like in third grade, they gave us a bunch of recorders and they made our parents like come listen to like Hot Cross Buns. So I was trying to invoke.
Kind of emulate that feeling
I'm
in a
sure
way.
it's like I'm sure it's sweet for the parents. They're like, oh my god,
Like that's my baby performing
that's my
hot cross
baby.
buns on the recorder.
He's so talented. He's playing better than everyone else in this
Oh yeah.
choir.
Hey, I have the best 4-year-old up there. But we do have up next we have Manifest, which is the first track to come out for the project. This is back in September of 2022. So
Yeah.
this project, at least the rollout of it, has been going on for quite a while.
That's a very generous word. It was no rollout in mind. That was just like I finished a song, I gotta post it.
Okay, well, I guess that kind of goes into my question being is like at this point in time, what does the project look like if there's even a project at all?
I think I've kind of got a loose sort of track list. Like I had Funtown, but Funtown was gonna be called like Top 10 Roller Coaster Tragedies, and then I was like, but that was the working title for like
Yeah.
a year. I had that. I had some other songs I didn't put on, but I probably like 4 out of the 6 songs. I forget which ones. Sort of just either barely started or halfway. But yeah, I think it had been like a year or almost a year since I had uploaded something. So I was just like, I'm not gonna wait if it takes me a year to do a song, I'm not gonna wait 6 years to have 6 songs done. I mean, I guess it didn't take 6 years, but
On paper, you're like, I want to get something out.
I gotta get something out, or else everyone's gonna forget about me. I don't know.
That is the fear, isn't it? Like, oh, if I take too long, people are going to forget that I'm here, and then when I post something, nobody's going to be around to listen to it.
Yeah, they're all gonna be like, I don't know, listening to the new TV. There's gonna be a new TV room if I stop.
I one time somebody when I was getting into like just making stuff in general, somebody was like, "Oh, if you take a break, 10 more people are going to replace you," and like that's just been like
I'm being a little, yeah. I don't
the
think
fear
that's
that I've
true.
lived with.
I don't think there was like a vacuum. Like if I disappeared, I don't think people would be like, "Oh my god, finally now there's
Now it's
I
my
can make
turn.
500 paintings in a room." And and
Um,
yeah, I'm
and
gonna do 600 paintings.
oh, dude, yeah, I got to one up that last guy.
Like last guy, he was close, but he stopped 100 paintings too short.
Will do what he couldn't. With manifest, you know, I think that this song especially sort of reinforces that kind of, I feel like this idea that I've noticed on the album where like children and adults will look at the same thing and kind of see very different things looking at the same concept or topic. And you know, kind of listening to the song and reading the description that you've provided on the YouTube video, it's like, you know, what does manifestation, I guess, in that way mean to you? You know, how is that? Is it just like a very like direct energy thing for you? Is it maybe a little more looser in your definition of it?
I guess I'd go looser because I don't do any like. Well, I don't even know. Like, yeah, I guess I'm not very educated on it. I definitely Googled it at the time. I was like, what is manifestation? Because I think someone was telling me they manifested something, and I was like, you did? Like, what does that mean? So I
What do you
Googled
mean?
it. I think it was kind of bouncing around I was like, what, you just like thought of like a cheeseburger and then you had a cheeseburger? Like, what happened? So I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is pretty. I get it. Like, I see the appeal here. So I think the term was floating around my head, but I wasn't really, for the lyrics, I wasn't really thinking about like any sort of real traditions of manifestation. Like, I don't know how you actually manifest something. I've never done it. But I was just thinking about more just like kind of like a manic sort of optimism.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what manifestation is, just sort of willing something into existence. Because it sounds so sad, but I had nothing going on in Maine, so I was just like, I just kind of had to invent something to be excited about. So I was just like, believe in something. I didn't even know what it was, but I was really sad, and then I just sort of was like, no, I'm gonna be happy instead. And then I made the song.
And then we have Big and Strong, and I think by this point in the project, like you're seeing a lot of themes, I guess, get connected in a way. Things are making sense. It's like you can kind of like find similarities in the writing and the production between the songs. And I think that maybe this song is probably a good time to get into this. But you know, you mentioned earlier that this was like a project where you're like, oh, I want this to be like personal. Like I want this to seem kind of sincere and authentic in some regard. So I guess you kind of answered me preemptively. But you know, are the perspectives you're writing from like all you? I guess, you know, are you taking abstracted thoughts and putting it on paper? Or are you kind of like, I don't want to say characters, but do you have any sort of character perspective in this, or is, you know, this all like very autobiographical first person?
I think it's definitely me. Like the I'm big, I'm strong is just like if I ever like go to a party or something, I like have to like hype myself up. I have to kind of like, I am big, I'm strong. I don't
got
literally
this. I
say
can
that.
do
So maybe it
this.
is a little bit of a, yeah. It's like maybe it is like an exaggeration of something that's real because I'm not like looking in the mirror and being like, I am cute.
Giving
But,
yourself mantras.
I don't, yeah, like I guess that's like affirmations or something. But I don't really, I don't do that, but I sort of do it in a way. So the lyrics, I guess, are sort of a distillation of something real. And I was thinking too, like, I guess I was trying to think about manifest before we talked today. I was like, manifest. I remember like for the video, I thought it was a character. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be a guy who goes crazy in his like studio apartment and does like 500 paintings for like kind of no reason.
Right.
But then I was like, I actually did that. Like I actually was in my apartment doing the 500 paintings. So like, it really wasn't a character.
It was kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Yeah, I was like, let's do a video about a guy who does 500 paintings. Then I did 500 paintings for a video. So it manifested or something.
There you go. Full circle. We've come back around. And then also, we have Head and Heart, which is, you know, our second to last track, and honestly, probably the most reserved song of the project. Sonically, your tone is much more weary. And I have two questions for this one, but the first one is out of just pure curiosity. You have these group choruses on the album, right? It kind of sounds like kids. Is that you?
That's me, yeah. That's
okay. I was having a hard time figuring out if you had like manipulated your voice because it's very accurate. It's very natural sounding.
Well, that's good because that's the intended effect. So that's good. Yeah, thank you.
How are
That's a
you
compliment.
accomplishing that sound?
I use Melodon. There's no secrets. I use Melodon for like pitch shifting up,
Right.
and I've kind of refined it because I used to just sort of sing. I'd pitch 10 takes up, I'd pan them, apart. But really, for a lot of it, like on Pet Rock 2, I'm like kind of singing in character, so I try to like sing a little badly.
Yeah.
I try and like sing some of the notes wrong, or I try to like hold some notes for too long, or like just yell some of the takes. And then I kind of format shift each of them differently, so I'm getting like some voices are, I don't know, more of like a feminine voice. Some of them are a little more masculine, and I try to like
Right.
sing in that character when I do it. I think it really works on Head and Heart just because of the reverb. Because I
Yeah.
think you can kind of maybe make out some artifacts if there's no reverb, but it sort of just gets buttered up by the
Yeah,
big room reverb.
it's like really scary accurate, dude. Like I listened to
Yeah,
because
cool.
I was listening to because I think that Funtown USA was the first track I think that I talked about of yours a while back. And
Yeah, I remember that.
I
Yeah.
remember hearing it on that song, and I was like, "That's fucking crazy! Like that's a crazy effect." Because I know you can pitch up your voice. I don't know, it just really caught me off guard how natural it sounded. Um,
Yeah.
but also, like I
Thanks.
said, Head and Heart, it does kind of end up being the most reserved sort of sounding track on the project, instrumentally and emotionally. And I guess it kind of asks this greater question in what I'm about to say. But how does this point of low energy work into the flow of the project? You have a couple tracks here, enough to be a project, and they're ordered in some way. So what's the thought process behind ordering the tracks, having the peaks and the dips of the album, and where does the track list end up playing into the record?
Head and Heart was supposed to be. It's supposed to be because like Manifest is like hype, manic. Big and Strong is also just like hype man. Like it's okay. I guess so. It goes. Despair. Funtown is Despair.
Okay.
The file name is Love Potion. What's the name of the song? Is So
So
Beautiful.
beautiful.
That's supposed to be like this like little glimmer of hope. The second
Right.
half of that song. Manifest, Big and Strong are both like just manic excitement, and then Head and Heart was supposed to be like kind of coming down from the mania
Yeah.
and sort of actually evaluating where things are. Because Manifest, I really wanted it to sound like fragile. Like there's really nothing. It's kind of someone telling. It's almost someone like trying to like convince you that they've figured something out, but they never really say what they figured out.
Yeah.
And then Big and Strong is just continuation. And then yeah, Head and Heart is supposed to be like, okay, I got to calm down and kind of actually evaluate where I am in life. Pet Rock just kind of ends up being kind of a medium between the mania of the previous two songs and the sort of low keyness of Head and Heart.
Yeah. And then we find ourselves at the end of the project with Dear Pet Rock, which is personally my favorite off the project. I think this song is fantastic. And as we've talked about with the track listing, it's sort of like this. It's uplifting. It's hopeful. It's like this is kind of like, oh, things are kind of heading in a better direction. And I love this idea of kind of like wishing to outgrow the staples of our childhood, but kind of still finding our ways back to them. So what importance do you find in sort of like indulging in these forgotten golden moments of adolescence? Do these experience or enhance the experience of adulthood in a way?
Oh man, I think about this a lot. Like, I got this book as I was trying to learn more about inner child, but it's kind of a creepy book.
Oh,
It's
really?
like this author, she tells you to you're supposed to have conversations with your inner child by writing with your left hand. And so you like write with your left hand, and then you like draw your inner child with your left hand, and then you respond with your right hand. I don't know
Oh,
what the
okay.
point of that was. I have this. I read like a page of it and I was like, this is ridiculous. But I like the idea. Like I agree with the principle of like staying in touch with, thinking about like what would kid me say, or like what would kid me do in this situation,
Yeah.
and trying to kind of approach adult problems with like, I don't know, just like a childlike innocence.
Yeah, that's like this kind of like
Um,
perspective that you're very much, I guess, past in life. Oh, I'm an adult now. I don't think like a kid. And it's like, well, what if I did?
Yeah, right. So I like the idea of the book, but it was kind of, I didn't really want to do the left hand right hand thing. But
I get it. I think that's fair.
It seems
And
like a lot of work.
to kind of close it out for that song, I know they were kind of really a product of the 1970s. But did you have a pet rock as a child?
You know what's crazy is I didn't think I did, but it was like I asked my mom to send me a handwriting sample because for that video I did some like worksheets
Right.
to have in, like the flashback montage. So I was like, oh, if I could get a writing sample of something I wrote at that age, and so my mom went to like dig through some old stuff, and she found this like essay about a pet rock. I guess we had like a there was like some assignment in second grade that was like we had to like make a pet rock and write an essay about it. So I did have a
Yeah.
pet rock at least because I had to for the assignment. But
There's some sort of evidence
um,
that one once existed.
yes, it was a picture of me holding the pet rock. I should have had it ready to show,
Had it
but
on hand.
it was because I
That's
only had
actually
the
that's
one
pretty
on
good.
me. I was like amazed. Yeah, it was so cool.
And so we're at the end of the big deal. And so I guess in general, moving away from this project, whether it be, oh, I'm done listening to it in the context of you're done making it, it's out now. What do you, I guess, want people to sort of leave with when finishing the project? What do you hope people take away from it?
It's like in a really selfish way. I'm just like I hope people are like, whoa, that guy's deep. Like, 'cause I don't know. I've been doing music for so long, and I feel like I just did a lot of like kind of silly. It was important to me, but just little bleep and bloop type music. So I hope people like are maybe just excited for the next thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope there's something like I hope it's like relatable and cathartic. Like even like Funtown, I was like, okay, it's a depressing song, but I thought it was like cathartic, and I hope people find it cathartic and not just like depressing. So yeah, I hope people walk away feeling good and not bad.
All right. That's
That's
very
my
noble
hope.
of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to change the world through music. And I
All
think I
right.
did. I think I fixed everything.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think everything is fixed now that the big deal is out. And that's gonna do it. That's all the questions I have for you.
Okay, cool.
Thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me and asking questions.
Yeah, no problem.